what people really want to know is, what do we do now? How do we invest in times like this? So can you talk a little bit about what people have invested in the past during a recession and whether or not that's an option for right now? Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to again talk to Ellis Miller, and if you didn't catch it the last time, apple tree, yes, father-daughter here working together at Pleasant Wealth. And we're continuing the conversation about recessions. And on this video, what we want to talk about is a little bit of what we've seen actions people have taken in the past to try to accommodate a recession in their own investment portfolio that really just don't work. And so kind of talking about the do's and don'ts of a recession. So before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for a regular Pleasant financial conversation.
One of the big messages from the past was this idea of using a mix of stocks and bonds. And that has worked for many, many decades. And it might work in the future. But it's pretty clear that it's not going to work quite as well in the future as it has in the past. The reason for that is there's a lot of fear out there. And people have moved to safety. Supply and demand has never been repealed. And the result is that bonds are now at the highest price they have been almost ever. That's why interest rates are low. And bonds are even more, by some measures, even more high priced than stocks are.
In retirement planning of the past, the idea was that with the money that you were planning to risk in the market, you would go with maybe some stocks. And if you were looking for security, you would either go to bonds or CDs. Or some other form of safe place for them. However, it sounds like bonds really aren't a great place to get any type of return, nor are CDs because interest rates are low. Is that right? Is that what you're saying?
It puts us in a bind. It puts millions of people into a bind.
Yeah. So a phrase that we've talked about here at the office is TINA.
Tina, eat. Eat the food.
There is no alternative. What does that mean?
The acronym TINA, T-I-N-A, stands for There Is No Alternative, as Liz indicated. And that is, we're seeing that more and more, that there is no real alternative to stocks. Now, maybe some people like real estate, thinking there's no alternative to that. However, with the pandemic, the use of real estate is now being reassessed. Mm-hmm. So this whole idea of no alternative to stocks seems to be present, whether we like it or not.
So with that, that's hard sometimes to hear for folks who are more on the conservative side of investing because they want some growth but are not willing to risk all of their money towards growth. So what happens to those people where there is no alternative for stocks? What should they be? What are the options?
Well, if they're concerned about running out of money, they may have to take more risk. And it's almost as if all the policies are coalescing into trying to force people to take a little more risk. That is to own chunks of companies. I mean, that's really what stocks are. That is a big leap for many, many people.
Yeah, people are not accustomed to having to take that type of risk.
Correct. So maybe one way to reduce that visceral fear would be to own better companies whose balance sheet doesn't have as much debt on it. You want to stay very far away from what they call zombie companies that are so strapped for cash that they can hardly meet their interest payments. So you got to stay away from those, whether they're popular or not. You need to stay away from those and invest in companies that are really strong, that will be around.
And then for people who are nearing retirement, what should they be shifting their investments to do, or where is a good hiding place for some of their money?
Well, they almost have to have some sort of a buffer system where there is a pool of dollars, maybe several years worth of income in some sort of a non-variable, very, very safe environment, a bank account or something like that. It's very different from relying on a 6% dividend from a bond, which could have been done 10 years ago, but not now. Those days are gone for now.
Well, it definitely puts this pandemic and the way that the economy is at this moment, it really puts our retirees in a bind because it feels like there's no real way to turn. And so if you're investing on your own or really don't have a confidant, an investment advisor, that you feel is comfortably leading you and helping you walk through the choices that you have, it can feel really unsettled. And so that's why here at Pleasant Wealth, we like to, our main focus is to work with retirees or soon to be retirees to help them map out what their retirement income can be, what their options are for investing, if depending on your type of risk, and help you understand what the pros and cons of each decision are, because you can't take a full step towards retirement without really knowing what it is and what to expect with your investment portfolio, with your retirement income, and what life would look like in that case.
I have one more thing. The other solution that is sometimes used could be some sort of an insurance solution where you cannot run out of money, and it takes many different forms and would be a conversation of its own. Often an insurance solution is perhaps oversold, overbought, but that doesn't mean there isn't room for it. There are times and places where you can design a pension so that you don't run out of money, but don't overdo it.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. A couple of years ago, I made a video talking about annuities because it's such a buzzword. And if you've heard the word, you've probably heard someone screaming at you, that's the worst investment ever. And somebody else saying, no, this is the greatest thing for you. So it's hard to know what it is. So check out that video. I'll put it in the link up here. And it's annuities, good or bad. So help you kind of understand the pros and the cons of an annuity. At our firm, we're not married to the idea of using an annuity, but for some people, it really makes sense. For some people, it doesn't. And so just knowing that that is an option on the table is good information. All right, I think that's all that we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, friends. We appreciate it. And as you are navigating this recession, if you are feeling unsettled and would like to speak to one of our advisors, you're welcome to go to our website, www.pleasantwealth.com, to request a meeting. And we would love to have a conversation with you over Zoom or in person if you're local. To kind of help you figure out where you're at today, where you hope to be in the future, and what those hurdles are in between that's keeping you from getting to where you need to go. So until next time, friends, you take care.